Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's acute to be a square. Today's lesson is 8.6, Area of Trapezoids. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to find the area of a trapezoid. In order to find the area of a trapezoid, we're going to have to talk about identifying the height. The height of a trapezoid is the perpendicular distance between the bases, just like we've been doing for all our other shapes. And if you remember, the bases are always the parallel sides. So if you look down here, it says label the bases B1 and B2. So here's our parallel symbols. So here's B1, here's B2. We got two different bases, which is different. We haven't had two different bases yet in this chapter. These are parallel, so there's B1 and there's B2. And these are parallel, so here's base 1. Here's the second base. So then label and draw if necessary the height. So the height has to be perpendicular, which means it has to make 90 degrees. Well, here I already see the 90 degrees between the two. So this is the height for this trapezoid. But where's the height for the others? For this one, we need to draw it in. The perpendicular distance, the shortest distance, is right there. There's H. Put a little right angle in. Now here we've got to go, the height is the distance between the bases. So we've got to draw in a perpendicular segment here. Put a right angle. That is H. Now let's answer these questions. Complete each statement with sometimes, always, or never. The bases of a trapezoid are always parallel. The bases of a trapezoid, so are these ever congruent? They are not. The bases of a trapezoid are sometimes the side, always the side, or never the side. That would be always. The bases are always one of the sides. Notice it's a side, it's a side. It's always one of the sides. The height is sometimes, always, or never a side. Let's look at here. This is not the side. That's not the side, but that is the side. So it's sometimes the side when you have the right angle in there. The height of the trapezoid is sometimes, always, or never perpendicular to both bases. Well, it's defined as being the perpendicular distance. It's always perpendicular. All right, so if we wanted, we could put right angles in the top and the bottom. So now we get to find the area of a trapezoid. So this is one of the last formulas we're going to learn. So before we've been doing base times height for a lot of these shapes. Well, we've got two bases now. So if you remember back from the last chapter, we could do the mid segment, which is the average of the bases. So instead of base times height, we're going to do average of the bases times the height. Average of the bases times the height. All right, so if you want to put that in formula form, right, you have to add the bases together, divide by 2, so that we're going to put a 1/2 in there, and multiply by the height. So the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the product of the height and the sum of the bases. So really what we want to use is that mid segment in here. If you remember how to find that, that's the average of the bases. So it's not just base times height anymore, it's average of the bases times the height. So just like before, if we want to find the area of this trapezoid, we start by writing the formula. Area equals 1/2 height, base 1 plus base 2. And I'm going to do this out to the side so you can practice. So let's see, do I know the area? No, I'm trying to find the area. But do I know the height? Yes, the height is 5. And do I know the bases? The bases are 6 and 8. So I'm going to put 6 and 8 in there. So 1/2 of 5 is 2.5. and 6 plus 8 is 14. So 2.5 times 14. 2.5 times 14 is 35. The area equals 35, of course, inches squared. Don't forget your units. Now, if you want to think another way you could do this, or, right, you can average the bases, right, area equals average the bases times the height, right? So if you average those bases together, you do, see if you can see this, 6 plus 8 divided by 2. So the average of the bases is 7, and the height is 5. So it's 35 inches squared. Wow, look, it's the same thing. 35 inches squared. So whatever you like to think of better. So now you're going to practice. This is just like example 1. So write your formula. Don't forget your units. Do this now. And don't forget your units. Find the value of b sub 2 given that the area is 96 square meters. Okay, so like always, I start with writing my formula. 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2. Okay, what do I know? The area is 96, so I plug in 96. The height, look at there's perpendicular right there, is 8. And the bases, well, one of the bases is 9. And I don't know the other base. Now I need to solve this. This is just good old algebra. So 96 equals, well, half of 8 is 4. I just rewrite everything, just one step at a time. I'm going to distribute the 4. 96 equals 36 plus 4 times the base. All right, subtract 36 from both sides. I'm left with 60 equals 4 base 2. Then I'm going to divide by 4. It's going to cancel there. 15. My units are just going to be meters, not square meters, because I'm just talking about the base. So you just have to take your time, plug things in, and work out the algebra. You can do it. So you are going to do the same thing. This is just like example 2. Write the formula, plug it all in. You can do it. So you're going to do this now. Don't forget your units. Now we're going to summarize everything we've learned so far in this chapter about area formulas. So the area of a square is side squared. So if we want to draw a picture, right, here's a square, and this is the side. You take the side and you square it. That's why it's called a square. Rectangle, right, we say length times width or base times height. So here's a rectangle, here's the base, here's the height. Notice always making a right angle. A triangle is half of a rectangle. So we have to do half of this formula. So it's 1/2 the base times the height. Draw a triangle. Here's the base. Remember the height has to make a right angle. So there's the height. Parallelogram is just like a rectangle, just on its side, or just tilted a little bit. Same formula. Draw yourself a parallelogram. Here's the base and And we got to draw the height in. It's got to be perpendicular. There's the height. I guess we'll put parallel signs on this. A rhombus is made up of a bunch of right triangles, if you remember. So let's draw this rhombus over here. And for a rhombus, they usually put the diagonals in. The diagonals are perpendicular. And so we use very much like the formula for a triangle, because we've got 4 different triangles here. But instead of base and height, we have 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Right, and this is diagonal 1. This is it doesn't matter which one is which. Just make sure you're multiplying in between there. The whole thing. And then trapezoid is what we learned today. Formula is area equals 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2. Okay, let's draw a trapezoid. One set of parallel sides. So this is one of the bases. Here's the other base. And once again, the height has to make a right angle. Put your right angle in there. There is your height. All right, here, I'll try to, right, there's diagonal 1. There's diagonal 2, right? This distance and this distance. So there's all the formulas we've learned so far in this chapter. This is M Cubed signing out.